Hey guys, welcome to the Rat Grant channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today there's a lot of things that happen in the crypto market. Well, not news, but a lot of downturn that has happened in the market. It's been consolidating. So today is episode 41. Welcome. Today is June 4th. We're going to talk about some crypto market consolidation, some news, and some Bitcoin and Ethereum analysis. So if this is your first time coming onto this channel and watching these videos, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash the thumbs up if you like the video. If not, if you don't, then the thumbs down. But please give me your feedback, give me your comments so that I can be able to improve this channel and work on providing you guys more value, right? So some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So the crypto market dropped and is consolidating from what I can see, and the Bitcoin and Ethereum was rejected and has significantly dropped, right? And for some practical coin news, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak saying Bitcoin is the only digital gold. So we'll talk about that and some price news, some market news that could potentially affect the price and market cap overall is Coinbase is entering Japan. That's really big news. And Indonesia is considering crypto as a commodity. So they've set the precedent to consider pretty much the market as a commodity. Like, I think that applies to some coin, but not all. So that's something that we need to be able to look at in the next coming days and how that all plays out. And the Security Exchange Commission here in the US has named a new head, right? The SEC has named a new head for its crypto department, right? And the biggest news today is GitHub was acquired by Microsoft, and there's been a lot of backlash on Reddit, Twitter, pretty much the developer community, and it could potentially be one of the reasons why the market crashed again. Not a complete crash, but pulled back, right? So let's get right to it, guys. So as you can see behind me, guys, everything is in the red. We've watched this, we've talked about this over the weekend, and when I did my weekend recap yesterday, we were wondering what would be happening to the market once the United States or North America opens, right? When people got back to their jobs, would they pull back their profits? And it seems that's what had happened. A lot of the things that are happening in the market, especially some of the traders, are using some algorithms, bots, excuse me, and whatnot. So that could say that, they've taken some of the emotion out. So as soon as they see some RSI oversold levels, they're going to dump it, right? They're going to sell so that they can be able to take their profits, wait for the pullback, and then buy in at a cheaper price again, right? So the market is consolidating, but as you can see, pretty much all the big coins are significantly dropped, right? Everything is pretty much in the red. There are some little bit of signs of green, but overall the market is red. Like Bitcoin Cash lost about almost 10%. EOS 9.59%, Ethereum 5.95%. So let's look at coin market cap. So today's crypto market cap is 332 billion 631 million, right? And the 24-hour volume is about $16 billion, and Bitcoin's dominance went up again a few percentage points to 38.2, right? But as you can see, pretty much it had a good pullback there. Bad, but a good amount of pullback on pretty much all the top 100 coins. The Tether, that's to be expected. Usually people sell into Tether once there is a pullback. Lisk, oh wow, 10%. Yeah, so Nano 10%, Wanchain, Golem double digits, Bitcoin Private, wow, that's a 14% pullback, right? There's a lot of retracement that had happened just in the last 24 hours, guys. So let's just look at this real quickly on the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on the 1 hour time frame, it seems like it's gone ahead and got back into the greens, less than a percentage point, but it's back in the green. But as you can see, over the last 7 days, we've been able to make some gains, which was partly wiped out today, right? So Bitcoin is back into this about 7,400, and Ethereum is under 600 again, guys. So that's one thing that we're going to be watching out for in the next couple of days, right? So let's go into the charts. So I'm looking at Bitcoin dollar pairing the 1-day chart on Bitfinex, right? As you can see, I still have the fib retracement here. It was rejected by the 23.60 fib line, as well as this is the 21-day EMA, right? So we talked about that yesterday, that if it did not break through that line and rally to the 38.20 line, then we could see a pullback, and that's exactly what has happened, right? So there's a channel that has formed here, if you guys can see this. Usually ascending channels like this, on a downturn, on a pullback, normally speaking, gets a continuation of its breakdown. It could break down here and touch this line. If it does that, as you can see, it consolidated down here instead of it consolidating up there, which is what we were hoping for, because we were hoping for that this would continue going up. It can still do that if it bounces on this particular channel here, bounces back here, and then has long candles and continues its trajectory up. Then that could potentially be something that we can be looking at, because that happened right here, as you can see, right? There was an increase. This was on the 12th of April, and then we had 2 bearish candles here, and then it continued up, right? That could happen, but we'll have to see tomorrow. Today, it's already being bought up. There's a little bit of a wick here that was being brought up. So we're going to see how that all pans out in the next couple of days. But let's look at a lower time frame. Let's look at an hour, right? Yeah, so if you can see the hour chart, it's been bought up just in the last hour, right? So that's a really good candle, but there was major red volume here that was a cause of a sell-off. So we're gonna have to see what happens, guys, and what transpires in the next couple of days. But if it bounces off here and continues to go up here in this particular channel, then we should be good, back continuing our mini bull run. But this is to be expected, guys. In any even of a massive bull run, right, there will always be small retracements or pullbacks that do happen. So that is something that we have to be aware of and be ready for, right? If you were able to take profits, congratulations. If you were able to do that, I'm again taking a step back. I want to be able to see some confirmations here, because there's some major resistance that it's been experiencing as of today, right? This is when we see the EMAs, you have this on top of the Fibonacci's, you have the trend line, you have this channel, which is probability, right? The technical analysis are not going to give us exact things of what's going to happen. No one can do that. If they would, then those people would be, the richest people in the world, right? But you can't really know based on technical analysis what exactly is going to happen in the markets. But we can look at probabilities, right? So the probabilities here, it's hitting some major resistance on the 23 line, 23.6. You have the 200-day EMA, you have the 55-day EMA, 21-day, 13-day, 8-day EMA, all pushing the crypto price down for Bitcoin and the market in general, right? So let's look at Ethereum. Again, on Bitfinex on the 1-day chart. Same thing, guys. Not as dramatic, but there was it lost 3 days worth of gains, so 2 days worth of gains. So if it holds up here, then we should be okay, because it's still it still has not completely broken down unlike Bitcoin, right? But it's already getting a lot of bearish push down, right? So that is something that we want to be able to see. Let's look at the RSIs and MACD. So the MACD, the crossover sort of is flattening out. But the RSI, as you can see, is starting to pull back down. It's starting to bearish, have a bearish divergence here. So we're gonna have to watch that out and see how that pans out in the next couple of days. I forgot to look at that on Bitcoin actually. Let's check that out real quick. All right, so the same thing. There is some space. We want this space, this MACD line's convergence, bullish convergence, to widen up a little bit, to spread out, fan out a little bit more. But the RSI, the one-day RSI, is already starting to go down. So that's a bearish divergence that's happening there. If it can still point up, you know, just like historically it happened here, it was going down, but it pulled back up. So that's something that we can potentially see happen, but we need to be able to get more confirmations. All right, so let's get back. Let's get onto the news, guys. So the first bit of news that I want to talk to you about is Apple's co-founder, Steve Wozniacki, saying that Bitcoin should become Web's currency, right? So he's saying that because he was asked about its comments from, there was, I think we talked about this maybe a week and a half ago when Twitter CEO and Square CEO Jack Dorsey said that, you know, Bitcoin can and should become the internet's native currency. And Steve Wozniak sort of dovetailed into that and, you know, shared that he believes the same thing, right? He said, and I quote, "I buy into what Jack Dorsey says. Not that I necessarily believe it's going to happen, but because I want it to be that way. That is so pure thinking." And he was quoted saying this on CNBC just today, right? So that is some bullish news from the Apple co-founder, which, I mean, he's been here through some technological revolutions, right? He was there when basically the PC personal computer market took the market away from the big IBMs, you know, the big centralized servers and stuff like that, to allow regular citizens like you and I to have our own personal computer at home. So he's seen these revolutions happen. So, you know, I take his word over some of the financial wizards out there that are saying all of these negative things, because he's seen revolutions when the rest of the rest of the world was practically saying that is not going to work, right? So the next bit of news that I want to talk about is Coinbase is coming to Japan. This is directly from their blog, right? So they're opening an office there and they welcomed now Kitazawa, right? He's gonna be working with the Japanese Financial Services Administration to roll out a compliant Coinbase. As we know, here in the US and other countries, I'm sure that Coinbase is the easiest way to get into cryptocurrencies. That's where I first got into cryptocurrencies. That's where I made my first buys. I mean, now I use like GDAX to be able to, you know, transfer my money and then buy there without any of the transaction fees if I am a market maker, right? But it will allow a lot more retail money, fiat money, to be able to be brought into the crypto space, because as you know, before we can trade altcoins and invest in ICOs and stuff like that, we do need to have Bitcoin, Ethereum, just some of the major currencies first, right? So that's really, really good news. And I'm curious to see how this all pans out. And again, I'm reminding you guys, June 13th, there's going to be a big SEC meeting, which is the conference name is Investing in America. And during that day, we could potentially get some major clarification on currency policies, right? We're going to talk about some policies today. So the next bit of news that I want to share with you guys, you know, segues into that is Indonesia legitimizes cryptocurrencies and classifies them as commodities, right? So the Indonesia's Trade Ministry and Futures Exchange Supervisory Board, that's a long name, has ruled that cryptocurrencies will be future trading subjects or commodities at the country's stock exchange, right? This is despite the fact that the Bank of Indonesia still does not recognize crypto as, a valid means of payment, right? He said that, they said that, he signed as the head, right, of that department, he signed a decree to make cryptocurrency a commodity that could be traded, right? Then this was reported by the Jakarta Post. So we're going to see how this all plays into the market, because we're seeing signs of softening, right? China is softening its stance from an overall ban, where they're considering potentially reopening their doors and considering it, right? Here in the United States, a lot of the regulators have sort of dampened down on their overbearing regulations, because they don't want to stifle innovation and stop the market, stop the currencies from flourishing, right? But they're also aware of the fact that there's a lot of scammy coins out there that could potentially lead to investors losing a lot of money. And we as investors, we're not as trained as some of the people in the stock market, right? But that doesn't mean we can't be. So that's why education, working on what's here is ultra important to any successful venture that we get into, right? So the next bit of news that I want to talk about is the Securities Exchange Commission has named a new czar, right? To oversee crypto regulation. So this is right on time. We're talking about June 13th, where they're going to have a big meeting to talk about investing in America. So this just comes in at the right time. This was announced 6 hours ago. So Valerie Japanik has been named Senior Advisor for Digital Assets, as well as Associate Director of the Division of Corporation Finance. So they said that she will be tasked with coordinating efforts all across SEC divisions and offices regarding the application of U.S. security laws to emerging digital technologies and innovations, including ICOs, right? And of course, cryptocurrencies. So she was formerly the head of the distributed ledger group, right? So that goes hand in hand, because of course she already has the exposure to the SEC laws that she's going to help implement, as well as seeing the technology out there, because she was part of that core group of people that were looking at the cryptocurrencies market from the SEC, right? So this is going to be really, really great news for all of us, if this could be a good stepping stone to be able to get more regulatory clarity, right? So the last bit of news that I want to be able to share with you guys, I'm happy because I'm keeping the video moving faster so that I can be able to get it to you guys as fast as possible. I know that's what I said that I was gonna do, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna work my butt off to make sure that I'm able to deliver this for you guys as fast as possible, right? So today it was announced that GitHub is being bought by Microsoft, right? So I'm reading this article. There's a lot of articles that you can read out there, but I come from marketing, tech, the tech space, and I have a lot of experience in startups and working for startups, development, .com days and stuff like that. So Ars Technica is a reliable source of news for myself, in the biz IT tech world, right? So everyone is complaining about Microsoft. But realistically, let me read you an excerpt about this. With their $7.5 billion in stock purchase, basically they're using Microsoft stocks to buy GitHub, right? The fear in the market, this article says, is that Microsoft is hostile to open source technologies and will do something to GitHub to undermine the open source projects that depend on it, which a lot, if not the majority, the vast majority of crypto-based projects are currently depositing their commits, their open source code, right? So there's a fear in the market, right? So at Ars, at Slashdot, Reddit, Hacker News, everybody's just suggesting that they have a lot of widespread concerns, and considerable amount, right? But it's understandably so that they lack the trust, at least among the development community, right? But one thing that this article goes into is we have to realize that Microsoft, although we think of them as a large corporation, right? They're going to centralize everything, into their Windows platform, monopolize everything and stuff like that. But a lot of us that are working on coding and stuff like that, they have Visual Studio Code, which is already open source, right? They also have, as you can see right here on this particular article, the Chakra JavaScript engine from the Edge browser, and even their Microsoft's new documentation system is already integrated and backed by GitHub. So, you might be wondering, well, why Microsoft, right? So there was 3 candidates to the acquisition of GitHub. It was basically Amazon, who has, I believe, AWS. What was their AWS source code? I forgot. They also have their own coding platform, and then of course Google has its own cloud that they're wanting to to act just like GitHub, so they have that as well. And then Microsoft. So those are the 3 major players that were looking into vying for a position to buy GitHub. And I think in the overall grand scheme of things, Microsoft has a very much a development background. That's where they came from. They didn't come from Xbox and in developing PC. They were primarily the original software play. Apple was sort of a software hardware play, but Microsoft and Bill Gates and the founding team of Microsoft was originally a software company, or it still is, but the majority of it was that. So it's already in their ethos. It's already in their general practice to be a development core company, right? So that's something that could potentially be really, really good. But of course, there's still a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen. There was an interview today. I believe it was on, I forgot if it was on CNBC or maybe it might have been CNN. I think it was on CNBC that Satya Nadella was interviewed. This is the CEO of Microsoft, and he said that exactly what I'm telling you, that it's in their best interest to keep the core development community alive because of the fact that they've just been able to, with the acquisition of GitHub, bring in a new community like they did for Minecraft. They did that already, right? They brought in a whole new gaming community that they pretty much stayed true to the original ethos of that particular project, and that's what they're saying that they will do for GitHub because it benefits them. You might be wondering, how does it benefit them? Because GitHub doesn't really make money. I mean, it is a for-profit, but they're bleeding money. They're spending more money than they actually have in the series of fundings that they receive. It's because there's a lot of projects, there's a lot of software services that Microsoft is introducing, like the Azure project, right? So they already have a development community that they can be able to bring into that fold, right? So that's their play. That's really where they're looking for, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. Read up on this, look at all the news, see what's going to happen. We're going to look at the crypto markets tomorrow and see what goes on. Hopefully overnight when Asian market open, which is actually open right now, they go in and buy up those dips that we here in America or the North America have created, and it pushes the market back up, right? So until tomorrow, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please hit the notification bell. I know notification doesn't really work on YouTube right now for some reason, probably because of the GDPR. So please come back every day to the channel and see the new video that I post, and as well as comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you find value. Smash those likes, smash up those thumbs up, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for your time today, and I wish you and your family a success-filled day. Good night, guys. Love you. Good night. Bye.